All right, so our next two grumpy people 10 list is live attractions. I'm not hugely fond of most live attractions.
Now, what do you mean by live attractions?
Well, yeah, and that's what I was wondering when I was writing the list. How do I define this? So I decided not to define it. Anything with sort of a live element to it, I think that we should count. I mean, it's not a ride, obviously, but anything that, you know, has live actors, live performers, maybe an interactive thing to it. And of course, the first one that I thought of, and that what gave me the idea, was when we had gone to Animal Kingdom, and we went to the Flights of Wonder. And how do you classify that? I mean, you could say it's an animal act or something, but well, if you're going to go with animal acts, you're going to stick to Animal Kingdom.
Pretty much. There's not much else.
There's not much outside of Animal Kingdom for animal acts, but live acts you get everywhere in the park.
Yes.
And Flights of Wonder is
definitely a fairly unique one as far as Disney goes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, its show and storyline is a bit different than most of the other ones, because a lot of the stage shows, it's either, most of them, if not all of them, are based off of one of their movie franchises. And so it's basically that as a stage show, maybe expanded a bit. And this is something completely different and mostly unique. You can see these kind of animal acts in other
usually
places,
you see them
but
at, like, zoos. But Universal has one kind of similar to
except
it.
for they use other animals.
They use animals also.
But theirs isn't as much into the birds itself, and so
Right.
that's how they
Universal kind of
hone
highlights
in on it.
the animal movie aspect of it. You know,
Yeah.
they're telling you how they train them for movies and so. Whereas the Flights of Wonder is really is trying to acquaint you with. It's sort of like trying to, while entertaining you, introduce you to wildlife.
Yeah.
And educate. Because, you know, Disney was really big on educating, and they, of course, the educating aspect keeps getting pushed to the side for more entertainment. But Flights of Wonders, you know, it's a cute little show. Again, it's something you can go sit down in the little seats. They're like
Stadium seating.
Yeah, they're stadium seating, and it's mostly shaded.
Yeah, they have the mesh shade above you, so as long as it isn't too hot
not
outside, it'll be
indoor.
good.
Yeah, it's not air conditioned, but it's a lot cooler being under the shaded area.
Yeah, it's shaded.
And you're sitting
so.
down. And you see a nice little bird show. It's pretty much, we've gone to it now 2 or 3 times, and it's been the same show every time. I don't think they've changed it in years.
But we went to it kind of close together, and I do believe they change it a little bit here and there.
Oh, yeah.
Based on
Well, it's a
who's
live animal
acting
show.
it, so. Well, yeah, the animals do different things, but you know, there are some bits of it that they change and throw away here and there. But yeah, it is basically the same show.
I think it's an absolutely great show to go to if you have like older people in your group who get tired with walking and the heat. So it's a nice,
They'll sit down and watch the show. Let someone else do the work.
And it's if you have someone who doesn't like a lot of noise, a lot of crowds.
Yeah, it is very peaceful.
I think before on the other one we were talking about people who have ADD or who have autism or something like that, and this is the kind of thing that they can go to and enjoy.
It's a very, very calm show compared to
not,
anything else.
Yeah, it's not loud or distracting or anything like that.
As far as a show goes,
scary.
It's almost dead. It's so quiet.
Which makes it sound boring, but it's really not.
It's not boring. It's just not a loud, in-your-face show, which is good.
Now, the other one that you and I have watched several times and has gotten a lot of online press, I think everybody pretty much agrees it's an awesome show. Maybe getting a little dated now. Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular.
That is a good one. I mean, we might want to do a little bit to it, but I wouldn't do much because it's got the classic bits.
Yeah.
And that's why people love it.
It's got all the
classic bits mixed together into a nice little showing you how they do the stunts. That's the point of the show. It could be any theme you wanted if you really wanted to change it. You could put almost any movie you wanted, any action movie. But the fact that it's Indiana Jones works really well.
I mean, they have the giant ball that rolls. They have the flames, the propeller on the helicopter.
Gunfire. They have stunt fighting. They have all kinds. Like I said, the point is it's supposed to be a show showing you the stunts like you see in movies.
The thing about this one, this is probably the show and the attraction that has had more injuries and in fact deaths than any other attraction at Disney. They have had numerous accidents and at least one death. of the indie characters.
I was going to say more of the cast members, so much than the audience.
Not the audience. No, I don't think anyone in the audience has been injured, unless maybe they tripped over the stairs coming down to the stage or something.
I was going to say, nothing really worth noting about.
You know, because the parts they have the audience help with are the least dangerous parts. But there are a lot of parts that, I mean, you think it's all set up and perfectly safe for the cast members, but these are stunts.
To a degree.
Those are professional stuntmen, and there's a reason that professional stuntmen are trained, and you know, they're doing real stunts. So there are parts when there are trap doors that drop down, and there are parts where they have to jump or climb, where they have to do a timed stunt, and all of those are dangerous. So, and that's kind of what makes it exciting. Yeah. That it is a real stunt show. You're actually seeing real stunts being performed.
And again, like you said, it's another good one. It's shaded, covered up, real nice. You know, it's stadium seating again. You know, it is a little bit louder, a little bit more to it. It fills up quite a bit, though.
Yeah, sometimes it does fill.
It is a live show, so there is only so many times during the day. It's usually 5 or 6 at the most.
If you get a chance to volunteer, do it. Oh my goodness, I've never been picked. I want to do that.
It always looks fun.
It does look fun. I would do it in a heartbeat.
And since we're on the subject of stunts and stuntmen, let's go to the other stunt show in the exact same park, across the way, Lights and Motors Action Extreme Stunt Show.
Oh, yes.
This is the stunt show involving vehicles.
There's no audience participation in that one.
There is a tiny little bit near the beginning where they pick a kid out of the audience to drive a supposed remote control car.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not much to really. It's just a little ha-ha cute. That one does actually have reserved seating spaces.
Yeah.
That one actually has a little box for special groups.
And that's one that you have to fast pass really, and
that one, it's one of the few shows that needs a fast pass, and that one, it does fill up extremely quick.
And let me tell you, that walk up the steps to your seat is that's no joke.
There's no elevator, there's no ramp. There's nothing hardly.
And the tiered seating it's pretty steep as opposed to the ones at like Indiana or Fantasmic. They're not broad. So when you're going up there to find your particular seat, it's a little climb. Yeah.
Other than that, you know, it's a great show.
Yeah, it's good.
You know, fire and
awesome
cars
show,
and bikes.
Really skilled driving. You know. Driving those little half cars and things that they do, it's craziness. I don't think they do the Herbie cutting in half anymore, do they? They've given that up.
Off and on. I think it just depends.
But again, I'm a person who likes hokey stuff.
But they do have the half car, even if they don't have Herbie. They do have their car that's half car.
Yes. So
you do get to see a lot of it on the backlot tour, though. So. You know, if you want to know what the show's about, take the backlot tour.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to take the backlot tour before you've seen the stunt show.
Because you'll see a chunk of it on the show.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
And you'll get to see some of their practice area or some of their behind-the-scenes stuff.
And they have
because
a little
their
bit
behind-the-scenes
is
actually on.
Now, here's something fun to do. Go on Google Earth. Was it Google Earth that we were looking on the other day?
Both Google and Bing have it.
But and look at the size of the water that's actually on that stage area. They are running those boats at high speed, doing those stunts in something that looks about the size of an Olympic swimming pool, maybe 2 Olympic swimming pools in length.
It's only it's a little canal that they built, a little man-made canal they built on the set that is only about as wide as the seating is, the stadium seating, and then only about maybe 8 feet across, maybe 10 feet at the most.
When you see, you look at how small that body of water is that they're doing those stunts in, and you think, wow, if they messed up just a little, you know,
it could be dangerous.
And luckily, they've only had, I think, 1 accident there. I could be wrong, but I've only heard of 1. I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot. So okay, we've done 3 of them now. I guess we could say for the live attractions, all the parades. Really. Basically. But there are some that are better than others, let's be honest.
Yeah, and then it changes from time to time.
And you know, I like the Jam and Jungle Parade. That's one that I wrote down. Yeah, it's really, there's not really much to talk about it. I mean, I just like it. I really wish that they would put in some sort of seating for that one, especially. There is not enough room to even stand and watch that parade.
Yeah, the problem with Animal Kingdom is that their paths, there's no sidewalks, really. there's like a curb at the best, and that's about it. There's a couple of spaces where there's like some area where you can sort of sit back, but the cars take up so much of the path, there's not much left to use as a place to view the parade.
And finding a shaded spot to watch the parade is even harder.
It's a good parade, but viewing it is not the most pleasant. So. Whereas, you have the daytime parade in Magic Kingdom, which I'm not going to name by name because they change it almost every year. There's always great places to view that, although it gets crowded, even more so than the other ones, it seems like. There's almost always a good place you can view it.
The best thing about the daytime parade in Magic Kingdom is the opportunity to get some really beautiful shots of the characters.
Yes.
In full
if you want to get some really good photos of the characters, that's a great time to do it.
Yeah, that's the best thing about that show, I think. My favorite by far parade that we have seen so far, and before that it was a different one, but since we went to the Boo to You,
yes, the Halloween parade
was
they
awesome.
do, which is the part of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, which is the Boo to You parade. It's awesome. It's very interesting because of the elements they add.
You
because
see the traditional characters dressed in costume, which is fun.
Which is always fun.
You see Goofy and his candy company guys driving his candy mobile.
Yes, because he has within Disney parks, he has the Goofy Candy Company,
which I love.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite things there too. But that's a whole other.
That's a whole other topic. And then you have the villains, which I always want to see more of. I don't think they do enough with the villains. I love the villains.
Everyone loves the villains.
Cruella de Vil and the evil queen and all of the rest of them.
Ursula and all them.
Oh yeah. And of course the pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean. But then the part I really thought was awesome, and nobody seems really to make much of it, is the Gravediggers.
The Gravediggers, which are part of the Haunted Mansion element of it, because
they're like
this
a marching band sort of thing.
It's really cool because they have their shovels and then they bang them on the ground and they spin them around and make sparks.
Yeah.
And what's really kind of cool with that one that they don't really do with the other ones, and I love that they do it with that parade, even if they don't do it with the other ones, is that each chunk of the parade is more or less themed to a section of the park.
Yeah.
Which is really kind of cool. So that's why they have the Haunted Mansion section. They have the Pirates of the Caribbean section.
Yeah.
And
the music changes as it goes.
Yeah,
on.
and they have the Cowboy section, which is cool, where they get the yeehaw and stuff in there. And one of the my favorite audio clip from that is the Western section where you get the chicken going buck 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 buck. It's hilarious.
Which makes me think of the Muppets again, but
yes.
They don't feature the Muppets in the Boo to You parade, do they?
No, because
they should.
They're not part of the
They're
Magic
perfect
Kingdom,
for but you've got the monsters, You could have the phenomenons and stuff.
That'd be a great thing for them to add is to do more of the Muppets in that. And they
it's
almost don't feature.
So
They almost don't feature Muppet Monsters. They only feature
really
the classic
group,
and that's about it. The only oddball is Bean Bunny.
That's true. All the parades. The one parade I do miss, and I thought was awesome, was at Universal Studios. I don't know why they got rid of it. Stars and Cars Motor
Stars and
Parade.
Motor Cars Parade.
Yes, I like that one. The cars were awesome, and then of course you had the characters in the cars.
The only downside was the little introduction woman, which was annoying. But
of course, but it's Universal Studios, so they have to play up the whole movie.
Yeah, it was supposed to be
background.
someone kind of like what's her name?
Yeah,
but
some old starlet. But,
But
that's gone now. So
yeah, they have ones every now and then, but none are as good as that one was. I hope they bring it back again proper.
And that was the first time I had seen the Toy Story plastic army men. They were in the Star of the Cars, and they had their army man van.
I was gonna say, then they had a little thing they did over there near the backlot section.
Right.
There for
so you see them now and then.
But for the most part, you don't really see them.
You have to see, and that's the electric.
Hey, the Main Street Electrical Parade, or sometimes the Special Magic, depending on whether you want to switch it back and forth.
Whichever one you watch, they are both incredibly awesome.
Yes, in their own ways.
They're beautiful. The kids love them, and it's a great way. It's nighttime, so you may be, winding down toward the end of your evening. They when we were there, they were giving it twice a night, or at least on some nights they were giving it twice a night.
Yeah, it depends on
I think
when
it is
you
an
go.
extended night or something, but
yeah, when it's extended nights, usually. Twice.
that's a great way to sort of end your day. And if you want to leave the park early, you go to the earlier one, and your kid doesn't realize that the park stays open afterward. You watch it, you watch the spectacular, and you leave, and then only those who want to stay later stay for the later show. But it's so beautiful, and it's really cool because they have Tinkerbell, who appears in a window of one coach, and then will appear, and it looks as if she's flying from one float to another. It's a really cool effect.
Yeah, that is a cool thing they added in there, which was kind of cool.
And the timed lights, it's just beautiful.
It's always fun.
All of them. The butterflies, gorgeous.
Yes.
So that's one you really need to see. I guess of all there's a lot of stage shows in Disney, and most of them, honestly, I don't want to waste my time.
They all get lumped together as far as I'm concerned, because they're all the same stuff. Like I said, it's basically we took a movie, put it on stage.
Yeah.
And I don't love it.
The only one that we've actually gone to together, you and I, was the Beauty and the Beast, which I really liked.
Yes.
That one.
That was actually not bad, because while they did do a lot of the classic bits, they did add to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure everyone says that they do with the other shows too, but
I liked it. I think they did a great job with the costuming.
Yeah.
I liked the way they made the feather dusters dresses, so it looked kind of like they had been, and the ones that were supposed to look like kind of like a cake. And
I think the only other one that would be good, as far as I'm concerned, is Festival of the Lion King. And the other one that's currently going on, I don't know how currently it's going on, but as far as I'm concerned, it's still on. According to their website, as I'm recording this, it's still there, is the Finding Nemo one. To me, is the least interesting one I can see. People say you don't notice the puppeteers, but when the picture shows their face clear as day next to the character, it just, to me, I don't care for it, personally. The plastic characters
I probably would go and see it just once.
I would say once just to say I've seen it, but
yes.
It's not something I would
But
really
Beauty
put
and the
on my
Beast,
list.
I actually would recommend Beauty and the Beast.
I would recommend that
and
one.
It was very pretty. Although I do think for some kids it would be a little much to ask them to sit through it.
Yeah,
So
it's not
you
as
have to
much
know your
for
kid. If
kids.
your kid is into watching visual things and singing and dancing, then yay. But a lot of kids would be too antsy to sit there through that whole
And it is an outdoor
performance.
theater compared to the other ones.
Yes.
Are both indoor, so that makes a huge difference as well.
Right.
So
right.
that'll definitely affect
rain
your day.
and so forth. So you just have to watch the little board outside. The good thing about it is it's right there as you're going down that, that first turn. You're heading toward Rock and Roller Coaster, Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror, and the outdoor eating area. So you're going to see the sign. You're going to see if it's open or not. It's not hard to find or anything like that. So other live attractions, and this is one that could have gone into our hokey category, is the Dapper Dans. And a lot of people are just like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. On the other hand, it's so cute.
It fits to the mainstream theme.
And that's
the
right.
point
It's
of
on
it.
the main street, exactly. And they do. I like that they change it up from time to time. Yeah, I mean, this is not something you'd want to sit and watch all day. But if you're going to get a hot dog from Casey's Corner, which I recommend at some point, or get a hot ice cream from the ice cream shop that's right there, sit in those outdoor seats. And sooner or later, the Dapper Dans will be there, and they're fun. They're fun
just
to listen
roam
to.
around. They stop for a minute, do a little bit, and then they roam around some more. It's just something for you to watch if you're sitting around anywhere.
Where else are you going to see a barbershop?
Exactly. How often do you see that nowadays?
So then the other one was this is a weird name. The Sourire Amusant. Okay, it's French, and I don't speak French. These cute little.
Amusant.
Yeah, they're chair balancers, is what they are.
And jugglers and a few other things.
I think they've had chair balancers now on America's Got Talent 2 years in a row. But they're really good, and they have a cute little music pattern that they do. Yeah, while they're doing the routine. It's in France, in Epcot.
There's no spoken bit, so you don't have to worry about staying close to it to hear them. There's no spoken bit.
There is some spoken bit, too.
No.
But you don't have to hear the spoken bit. You could just enjoy the routine. If you're close enough to hear the spoken bit, then it's cute. There's some cute little patter that goes along with it. But it's it's not necessary to hear the patter, is what we're saying. And, you know, you watch them bouncing chairs, and you're like, holy cow, they're gonna fall and break their head open, but they don't.
Yes, because they got chairs bounced on a table, bounced on a basketball or something. And they're standing on their head,
stacked up, and then they're trying to bounce wine bottles, and it's kind of amusing. And there is seating there, because it's at the French restaurant. However, that seating fills up really fast. So what we did is we just stood back quite a ways at the near the ice cream stand. There was plenty of places to sit there, and we could videotape and get a nice clear view over the heads of the crowd.
I was going to say, you don't really need to see the bottom of it, because all it is a table on the bottom.
Yeah, it's a table or a chair, yeah. So that is well worth taking a look at if you're in Epcot.
Again, that's just, like I said, these last couple things they just happen.
Yeah,
There's no real timing
I think some
on
of the best live entertainment is Disney. It's
Is
stuff
the
that just
Streetmosphere.
shows up and you catch it.
The little Streetmosphere show. It's not really. I mean, you could ask them when the next one's going to happen, but it's not really something that's like, okay, at 2 o'clock there's going to be this and this show. No, it's just it happens.
You're in that area and you stop and you watch, and you can continue on if you start getting bored, if it's going long, or
it's just a little something you could stop
join
for a
at
minute
any
and
point
watch
of the
it.
show and still enjoy it.
Yep.
And along with that, they have the Chinese acrobats, which are some pretty awesome acrobats, and they do some pretty
one of our first
amazing
years that we
things.
went to Epcot and we saw them.
The biggest problem with the Chinese acrobats is they perform at night, so it's hard to see, and people crowd around, so you can't.
And a lot of their
necessarily
stuff,
see it really.
unlike the stacking chairs, is pretty much on the ground. Yeah. So if you can't see the ground, you're missing a chunk of the show.
You're missing a lot, yeah. But if you're lucky enough to catch them before it gets too dark and you are able to get a good position to see them from, they're well worth watching because they're very talented. Chinese acrobats always are, aren't they? That's pretty cool. The only thing that we didn't mention, see, here's the thing about the Disney and what we're trying to say with this, with the live kind of entertainment, is it's great to do the rides, it's great to do the shows, but take the time to enjoy the interactive element and to see the people behind and all the different things that you just sort of stumble upon or just happen throughout the day that aren't necessarily rides. And
a great example of something that you can stumble upon in Animal Kingdom. What is her name called? There is
Divine, but we were going to talk about that in another episode. But yes, Divine.
She is live.
She is a live action. She's a person. She's an actress. On stilts, doing an incredible job.
And that is something you don't expect when you walk across.
So you just have to be ready to just stumble across stuff like the first time we saw that, we weren't expecting that at all.
No.
And I don't think most people who see her are expecting. They don't really spend a lot of time telling you about her on all the Disney webcast and TV shows. And I think partly that's because they want you to sort of just stumble on her and be delighted.
And that's the thing with a lot of their Streetmosphere. While they will show some of it here and there, these little characters they bring out, they do a couple of skits, they go hide away for a few hours and come back out and do a couple more skits, and it's just something that just fills the day out.
And part of Streetmosphere, don't forget, is the musicians.
Oh yeah, the musicians. I forgot all about them.
In Africa, when we were there, they had the really cool. Was it Africa? I think it was that where they had the drummers out there playing the
well,
traditional.
Animal Kingdom has a few different little bands that play.
I was trying to think what those are called. The metal drums that have the different notes. I cannot remember. But they were playing those. It was really awesome. And another part. If you go to Germany, of course, they have the traditional German band. In the UK, they have an awesome cover band called the British Revolution. They play Beatles songs mostly, and they do a really good job. They do a really quality job. And when we were there, we didn't stop to watch the show because we were doing other things. But we did. We were in the UK section doing various things and taking pictures. Oh, that was during the Food and Wine Fest. No, the Flower and Garden Festival. So we were taking pictures of all the beautiful flowers and the teas that they had out there.
And so while we were sitting around the UK area, we heard them.
And we, they almost sound, you're like,
well,
wow,
at first we were like, wow, they're
band.
playing Beatles music, and we're like, oh, wait, no, that's an actual band.
That's an actual band, and there were people over there kind of dancing to it and grooving to it, and everybody seemed to be enjoying the music, whether they were stopping to watch the show or just like we were, passing through. So again, that's something that you might want to check out.
And then another little thing that's fun.
So many bands and music groups.
Keeping with that is that there's actually a don't remember what he is. He's a musician. I believe he's a piano player. They have in there every so often that plays music. And there's also one at Casey Junior's, outside of Casey
that's right,
Junior's.
piano player, that's right.
A piano player that'll sit there and play music during the day.
And in the American experience, they have the choral group.
The Voices of Liberty.
Very good singing group. I mean, I'm not crazy about choral singing, but they're very period specific, so it's the perfect type of singing for
Again,
that.
That's something that they do, is they always try to keep everything where it fits.
Yes.
It makes sense.
And that's what we love about it. So in the end, while you're walking around the parks, be open to those kind of experiences. Be ready to be surprised by it.
Don't just rush from one thing to the next. You know, take a minute
leave a
and
little
stroll.
time in your schedule for you to be able to take in those kinds of things. Unfortunately, you can't always catch them. They get canceled for all kinds of reasons, weather. They change shows quite frequently, so you may not always be able to get to catch them. But when you can, they're like a little pearl in an oyster kind of thing.
If you're having an outdoor lunch or an outdoor snack, just sit down in an area for a while. You might have one of them just walk past you and do a little show. You never know.
We were in Italy, in fact, and it was not a good show. Not all of them are of the same quality, but a little acting troupe came up and did a little comedy routine. I think most people were groaning through most of it. But that was an example. We were sitting there doing, eating, waiting for our reservation, and along came the show. So you never know.
We're just sitting there anyway. So, oh, look, there's a show we can watch. Oh, cool.
It just came up. So
yeah.
That's what I wouldn't plan to be to any of those, but I would just enjoy them when they show up.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that show. Pretty cool. So what else is live action? The first part of the backlot tour, you talked about no, you didn't talk about it. And which is kind of like some of the things that you have at Universal, where you go in and you're part of making
that
a
one's
movie.
That one's really, really cool. Starting to get a bit dated as far as I'm concerned, but it's still a really cool bit.
In my mind, it's almost like they're two completely different attractions. There's the backlot tour where you're on the tram and all. To me, that's a completely different
section of the show
than the first part when you walk through and you're making a movie.
It's kind of a pre-show. Now they have one vaguely similar to it at Universal as well, which they've recently rethemed, and it's kind of a similar type of thing. There's a pre-show part where you're making a movie, and then a post-show part where there's a tram ride, and that's about where their similarities end. And the Epcot or the Hollywood Studios one used to be so much nicer when it was first put in Hollywood Studios, and now it's basically a shell of its former self with only two of the key elements still there, which is well, we'll get into it later, but the beginning part, the pre-show, you go in, it's standing room only, there's 3 tiers, you stand there and you watch. They pick 2 people out of the audience well in advance to you going out there, so if you're in line, the show you're going to be watching has been picked well in advance before you get up there.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's usually people from the previous show.
Which means we never get a chance to...
Yeah, it's usually people from the line for the previous show that get in your shows to be the actors. So, get there well in advance if you want to have a chance of being in the show. But it's really cool because they have them go out there and they pretend like they're driving a boat or whatever else. And a couple of people, they dump hundreds of gallons, thousands of gallons of water on them, and that's fun.
And I like the bullet effects in the water, which is air, as we know, but it looks like bullets. And basically what they do is they film a video, they show you the different layers. Okay, here's the actor's layer. Okay, here's the sound layer. Okay, here's the special effects layer. And then they show you the little video with the 3 things put together, and you're like, oh, that's how you make a semi-realistic
special effects type video.
So it's good. It's an interesting
it's
part.
Cute little special effects
like
show.
A lot.
Yeah, cute little special effects. It's not much as it could be, but it's something, to give you that element.
But again, to me, in my mind, it's like there's 2. They can separate those 2 attractions very easily.
That attraction could be all by itself if you wanted.
It's like a totally different attraction to me.
Because after you go out of that, you go through a prop shop which is so cool. That should just be
And
a
you never
museum
get,
into itself.
And you never get enough time.
That
to
should,
look at
I
all
swear,
the cool
that
stuff.
should be a museum into itself.
And they
when you walk
they
through.
don't label all that stuff, so you're like, what is this from? What is this? Now some of the stuff you immediately recognize. You go, oh, I know
They
what
have
movie
the fridge
this
from
was
the
used in.
dinosaurs. They have a car from one of the Muppet movies.
And they change from time to time. The
Yes,
stuff
they
that's
do.
in there changes. So they add stuff all the time. Every time you go through, it's going to be different props. Take time to look. Those are real props. They're not
From real
they're not
movies.
made up stuff that they put in there just for the
That's
for
why
the-
it's in cages and stuff. It actually is from movies and stuff, and that's why it changes every so often.
It's
They
so
put new
cool
ones
to go
in or
through
old
and try
ones.
to identify, oh, I remember where that came from. Oh, look at that. That's from such and such show. But I wish they labeled more of them because
I
some
wish
of
they
them are
labeled
like,
more of them, and I wish they made it into a proper museum.
Yeah.
Even if they left it in that mishmash look, it should be all by itself. So it's almost 3 attractions.
It's
honestly.
almost, yeah, you're right. And then of course you go through that and goes up.
Then
But
you go
that's
into
not
the
part of the
train.
line attraction.